How are you guys doing this afternoon?
Good.
Good.
Not bad.
Excellent.
Not bad.
Are you dead at the almost end of dead week?
Yes, but I have so much to do, so I can't be dead. So I have to be forward thinking. I have that.
I understand. So we're gonna give it just a couple more minutes. Hopefully everybody else will join. And if they don't, they're gonna be kind of disappointed. So Julie, if you want to text your buddy Hunter and make sure that he's gonna be on today, that would be good too, please.
Yeah, I was just texting him right now.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
I'll text Annalise.
Hunter's jumping on. He got too into the management plan, he said, and forgot.
Okay. Well, at least he's working on the same class. Thanks for texting him.
Yeah.
All right, so just so you guys know, there he is. We're going to be doing some breakout rooms and stuff today, and so I don't think it's going to take us the entire time. But this was my favorite lab from when we did it in person, and so I don't know if it's going to have the same effect or not online, but we're going to try. So regardless of that, I really do feel that this kind of self-assessment of strengths is really critical as you guys are moving out into careers. And so this is something that I found at age 35 or 36, and I wish it was something that I had found at 20. And so that's why I wanted to incorporate it in the class. Is first and foremost, I think it could have a place in you guys moving out of college into careers. But I also think it has a big place in range science and management, especially because that industry and that discipline deals with big, nasty problems. Like, how do you limit cheatgrass invasion across the whole Western US, right? So those aren't easy solutions. Those are really big, hard problems. And usually they are done with big teams of people And areas that don't use kind of the team working group approach have failed miserably in the past. And so if you go into a situation or are part of a working group where you know what your strengths are and you can identify strengths in others, especially if you're in a leadership role, it will actually help you to get to whatever the end result is more efficiently with less stress, anxiety, fighting, etc. And so this is a workshop that we have just started teaching in the Society for Range Management. It's one that I developed for this class last year, and I've been asked a couple of times to teach it in some other kind of range scenarios. So that's what today is about. So in addition to us kind of working through a couple of fun exercises with strengths, at the end of this whole thing, you guys are going to get the final exam, okay? And so that is hopefully worth staying on for, if nothing else. So first and foremost, it's really going to be hard to move forward with this if you haven't had a chance to take the quiz. So can everybody just give me a thumbs up or put into the chat if they have had the opportunity to take the quiz, they have their 5 strength themes in front of them with at least some sort of description or understanding.
I am finishing mine right now.
Okay. Good. Kylie's got it. Okay. So Myra, I might have missed it. Were you able to do it?
Yeah, no, I did. I was just trying to figure out how to like do like a thumbs up on here, but I did.
That's okay. Cool. All right. So Cody, it looks like you are having some trouble. Verification failed. Did you purchase the book or the ebook?
I tried to do the ebook and then it kept going, and I put in my card number and stuff, and it kept saying verification failed. And it kept saying like go over like billing address and stuff, and I did, and it just kept saying that.
Okay. Did you do it over the StrengthFinder's website or did you do it on Amazon?
I did it over the one that you sent us in the last email.
Okay. So maybe there's something going on weird with the website. You may, as we get started here, you might want to try to see if you can just get like the Amazon Kindle ebook or something.
Okay.
So, but we're gonna, it looks like the majority of people were able to do that. So, as we kind of step through this process, I am gonna put some files in the chat that you guys can download, okay? And I will eventually put them all on Blackboard, but I wanna, because we have to step through this kind of in a finite fashion, I just wanna only give you the information that you need at one point in time, all right? And you can make notes on it or whatever you need to do, and then you'll have an extra copy later on Blackboard if you wanna go back and make it pretty, so. All right, so before we get going, I wanna know how you guys are doing. So it's dead week. I am dead. I don't know if you guys are dead or not, but just talk to me a little bit about what life is like as a student right now.
I'm pretty sure my stress levels are putting me into a physical illness.
Oh no.
I like woke up today and I just realized how much stuff I have, and I have a whole list of things I need to do, and my body is just telling me that I'm working overtime. So I'm a little sleepy today, but I'm pushing through. Everything's due on Friday at 5 p.m.
Yep, I'm the same way. I'm stressed out of my mind.
Okay.
I think they should rename this week to Hell Week and not Dead Week.
And not dead.
Because it's not dead. It's never dead.
No,
it's always jam-packed.
Yeah, I think somebody ended up naming it for what it did to you as students, so it makes you dead. It's not like nothing happens. So
I always laugh at the notion that there's no new information on Dead Week, but like everything's always due Dead Week. So yeah, there might not be any new information, but like you're also still dying the whole entire week trying to get stuff done.
Yep, it's true. So sorry, I am part of that checklist that you guys are stressing over. So I just, after last week's lab where we kind of talked through the end of the grazing management plan, I very much got the feeling that we were not going to have it ready to turn in on Friday. So that was the reason for the extension. So, so the good news is the final, I don't know if it's good news or if it's bad news or if it's just news at this point, but the final is going to be pretty low key, I think, not without a lot of critical thinking. It's more kind of self-reflection stuff. And it's going to be due just as a PDF by the 18th at 5. So I'm hoping that it's not super, super stressful for you guys. So, okay. Any other comments, thoughts, concerns, jokes, memes, anything before we get rolling? All righty. Okay, let's do this. So I think I'm not going to take you guys through Blackboard or anything because in my email there was just explanation of what's coming up. You guys know the grazing management plan is due on Friday. That submission link is in the grazing management plan folder. And then in the week 15 folder is the extra credit link if you have the time or want to deal with that. There will be a week 16 folder show up probably on Friday, I think is when it's set to open. And that one will have the submission link for the final exam. So that's what's going on in Blackboard world right now. So. Okay, so StrengthFinders. Okay, so for those of you guys that may have heard of this company before, this is actually a Gallup book that was originally put together by Don Clifton, who was a psychologist. He's very big into self-awareness, personality tests to make your life easier. And so Gallup is the same poll that does presidential elections. They're actually a really credible company. They have amazing software. They do incredible research as well. And so this book is one that I encourage you not to sell back if you don't want. It's something that I use probably once a month right now, especially as I'm going into dealing with new groups of students or consulting gigs or anything like that. And so I promised you an inside look to the mind of Casey last week. And so I took this quiz about 3 years ago and went through the whole gamut. I think I paid the $50 for it, and it was a crazy assessment. And so my 5 strengths ended up, I'll go through them kind of one by one and tell you how they kind of manifest in my life a little bit. And then we'll go into kind of breakout rooms where there's 2 or 3 of you, and I'm going to have you guys talk to each other about your strengths. So, all right, let me pull up my thingamabobber. There it is. Okay, and I'm just going to share my screen with you. This is just a summary of the different strengths. I'm not going to read through everything. And so one of my big strengths is actually very analytical. And so I was actually relieved at that because I went into research and I hope that I'm somewhat analytical. So that was, I think, my second highest strength was just having an analytical mindset. So the way that this plays out in my life is it makes for a really good life as a researcher. So I'm always looking for reasons and causes for things that happen. And so I spend a lot of time thinking about factors that could affect a situation, thinking about the way that I describe it is I think my way all the way around a problem. And so everything from minute detail to who it could affect to what it could affect. And this, in a range science perspective, has really benefited me, because if I go do a consulting job and write a grazing management plan for a piece of land, I have to think about all those things that we worked all semester through and how each one of them is important for the health and the ecology of that piece of land. And so the downside to this strength for other people, not necessarily for me, is that, and I've had to work on this. If somebody brings an idea to me or states an opinion, I very much have the attitude of, okay, that's great, prove it. Or where's your results? Where's your backup? Where's your justification? And so now that I recognize that that is actually a strength and it's not me being critical, it's really helped me kind of to reframe some of my responses with colleagues, clients, you name it. And so, yeah, so there was a good quote in the book about it. I can't find it. I'm not going to spend time on it. So anyway, so that was one of my strengths, is I tend to be pretty analytical. Another strength that was a little bit further down the list for me is focus. And this is something that I really have put some pride in the last couple of years since I figured out what it was. I don't know if you guys have ever been in like group projects or group situations where the conversation just goes around and around and around, and nobody is really making a decision or stating a way to solve a problem. That stuff drives me nuts, absolutely nuts, because, and it comes back to this focus strength, to where we actually need to chunk out a problem. So start small, get answers to those questions so that you can answer the bigger questions. And so that comes down to prioritizing. And so prioritization is one of the best assets I believe anybody can have. I'll give you an example. I work with a colleague down at Cal Poly who is a wonderful scientist. He's got the biggest heart in the world, but he does not have the ability to prioritize. And so he doesn't do activities early. He only will make it an activity a priority based on a due date or based on whoever is yelling at him the loudest. And that played havoc with my kind of OCD life, because we would need to turn reports in for grants or go collect data, and you wouldn't be ready, you wouldn't have all the equipment, that type of thing. So, so the ability to look at a problem, prioritize the solution, or at least prioritize a way to start solving the problem is definitely an asset that has played out in my life. Let's see here. Okay, so my number one strength that comes up over and over and over again is harmony. So this is a surprise to students sometimes. So apparently I come across a little bit as a hard ass. I'm going to stop sharing. So I guess I come across as a hard ass, and I don't mean to be. I'm just pretty definitive in what I say, but I really do not like conflict. It makes me uncomfortable. Does anybody else have that problem too? Just put your thumbs up or shake your head or whatnot. So a few people. Okay, cool. So it's not just me. Is there anybody that really does like to fight? Put your thumbs up if you like to fight, or you enjoy it. Miranda, of course. Okay. Okay, and Mackenzie. Yeah, I see both of you guys as that. And Julie, yeah, she fights me on a daily basis. So there are personalities out there that that's one way that they actually show love, is to get people to fight with them. And so I have a couple family members that are like that, and oh my gosh, it makes me gives me anxiety to just make the realization of like, oh my gosh, they want me to fight with them. And my dad and my uncle are two of them. And so yelling was really, really common in our house growing up. And I think it actually shaped me it made me uncomfortable. So I always went to harmony. And so I tend to look for areas of agreement. And I really feel that there is very little to be gained from conflict and friction. And so I'm always striving for harmony. And so that's one that I'm at least aware of now, because I thought that I was just scared of conflict and didn't want to engage, and that's not really the case. I just think it's a waste of time. So let's see here. My last two strengths are I'm a relator. So people with this strength are or enjoy close relationships with others. They find deep satisfaction in working hard with friends to achieve a goal. Yep, all the way around that one. And then my last strength is significance. So as significance is for people who are talented in the fact that they want to be important in the eyes of others. So they tend to be independent and want to be recognized. And that one was a little bit hard to swallow, because I was raised in a pretty conservative kind of church, semi-church going family. And one of the things that you're always taught, if you guys grew up in this household, let me know, was to be humble, right? So you're never supposed to want to be the center of attention or want to be boastful or those type of things. Like we would get scolded for it sometimes growing up as kids. And I always was getting yelled at for that type of stuff. And what I found out through the StrengthFinders thing is it's not such a bad thing. It can actually be a good thing. And so I really do feel like that's why I'm living my calling right now, and I'm living in my strengths, because I do get the opportunity to play a significant role in my job. Like, you guys are the future of agriculture. There's no greater calling than for me to be a part of your journey right now. And so that's the way that the significance strength plays out. So anyway, so that's my 5 strengths, a little bit into my mindset. And if you guys want to have more conversations about that later, you're more than welcome to. I actually stay in touch with a lot of my students. I probably talk to 10 or 12 of them all the time after they graduate from college, just trying to, figure out how to deal with job stuff and whether they should leave a job and how to ask for more money and how to deal with criticism and kind of life skill type stuff. So I very much believe that my job does not end when I grade your final next week. So always feel like you can come ask me for advice on that type of stuff. So, okay. If you guys have your strengths in front of you, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break us out into 4 breakout rooms. And what I would like you guys to do is to have a conversation with everybody in the room. And what you should find, let me get here. I'm going to upload a file to you so you guys can download it. Oh no, wait, hang on. I might be too far ahead of myself. Okay, sorry. We're gonna do this one first. So there is a document in the chat over here. It's called StrengthFinder's Reflection. And so what this document is it's just a series of questions. And so what I want to do is take probably 5 to 7 minutes. And I'm going to let you guys either turn your cameras off or leave them on, put yourself on mute. Let's spend some time answering these relative to what you found in your strengths assessment. Okay. So again, let's come back together at 2:45. Okay. Did everybody?
Have you posted it in the chat? Because I don't see it.
Yep, it's in the chat. Is it at the very bottom? It went to.
I don't see it either.
Let me
I
do it
have it.
again.
I found it.
How did you guys find it? Was it at the very bottom of the chat?
Yeah, it's like it's at the very bottom of the chat, and it has like the word little word icon next to it, and you just push download, and it's the same thing that you just sent again.
Yep.
It's the same thing, and it downloads. I have it open on my Word.
Okay.
Maybe you have to be on a desktop. That might be the issue.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Are you guys on
I'm
phones?
home right now.
Okay. Let me email this out. Would that work?
Yeah.
Okay. Email or post on Blackboard? What's easier?
Email.
Okay. I'm just going to do it to the whole class, okay? So you guys are going to have a crap ton of email from me if we do this all afternoon.
Is all we have left to do is the final and the grazing management plan?
Yep. Grazing management plan is due on Friday. You can do extra credit if you want, which is also due Friday and in the week 15 folder. And then the final exam will be due Friday the 18th. Okay, guys, I just emailed it out to the class. There's no message, it's just an attachment.
Are we turning this StrengthFinder test in?
Not your test, but all of these things that we're working through, you're going to need for the final.
Okay.
And I could, maybe I'll just share my screen too. That way you guys can look at the questions if that would be easier. All right, so let's go to 250 since we had trouble getting the file to you guys. All right, guys, how we doing? Do you need a couple more minutes? Okay.
I don't think so.
I'm good.
I don't think so. I should be good.
Okay.
How in depth are you wanting these answers?
Not super in depth, as in depth as you want to be.
Okay, perfect.
I'm the only one that is going to look at these. So if there's stuff you don't want me to know, don't put it on there. All right. Well, let's go into the next section. And so I just sent the email out with the file in it, and I'll post the file in the chat as well. But we are headed to breakout rooms. And so what I want you guys to do with this is in this document, you're going to see a table, and I just want you to write down some of what you hear from your other classmates. So the idea here is to go through and share your individual strengths and how they play, a little bit of how they play out in your lives. So, and see if you have any common ground with other people in your breakout room. And I'm going to try to bounce around as much as possible, but I want everybody to have a chance to share here. So, and then you can just, in that document that we just looked at, or that we just downloaded, all you need to do is just put your classmates in there, their strength, and then just one way that it positively plays out in their life. Okay, so just a way to, we're working on listening skills is what this is all about. So really starting to hear how classmates or other group members feel that what their strengths are, and because that's going to help is going to help later on when we get to the big activity portion that's fun. So, all right, so let me push everybody into breakout rooms. All right, we're going to go to 4. All right, and let's go 10 minutes on these, okay? So let me do 10 minutes. And if you guys get done early, just come back to the main room, okay? Okay, you should have an invite.
For the first question, obviously, which one of these, I cannot talk today. Excuse me. I forget. I can't damn it. It's no. Let me share my screen. It'd be easier. I would just do it this way. Here we go. Boom. So we can see here my right here, my signature theme right here is the African. I don't know how to say that. So if someone can help me out, that'd be awesome.
Futuristic.
Futuristic. Oh yeah, futuristic in action. So this is a person who's always looking forward, always trying to be positive, things like that. I can really find myself being that in many ways just because of my personality, also my future career. I want to be an ag teacher. So a lot of this ties into always, trying to look on the plus side, always try to build stuff. And then obviously being, the one that I see most frequently in my life is being a developer, always trying to build something. So either if it's a good group environment or even like some type of wood project, I can also see myself doing that. The one that kind of surprised me was I thought I would have more empathy, for things and other things like that. but I don't know. I need to work on that, I guess. And then the one that the signature teams that I want to use or using most in college, and also looking forward in my life. Like I said, I want to be an ag teacher. So obviously, being looking forward, always being able to let my students start a new day. Every day can be different for them, no matter who they are, especially in high school level. Developer always trying to develop new courses, keep things accurate, keep things current, especially being in an ag meg field with standards changing every 5 seconds. We have to be really on top, especially if we want the correct grant money and all that A, B's, and C's. So that's kind of my little spiel. Anybody have any questions? Sorry, it went way too fast.
No, you have to go fast. That's the whole intent.
So I was trying to.
Yeah, no, good job. So let me make you feel better about empathy. There's actually 35 strengths. Empathy was one of your top 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, that does actually make me feel better. Yes.
Okay. Are you having empathy that you have empathy? Is that what is going on?
I guess. Well, I was just like, wow. I thought I cared more. But that makes total sense though.
Okay, cool. Good job, guys. Keep going.
All right. Who wants?
Like the other ones I got.
What other ones do you have?
I got relator, strategic, achiever, responsibility, and discipline. And I thought like responsibility or discipline would be higher, but I guess not.
Which one do you feel like is like most like just best describes you out of all those?
Probably like achiever, responsibility. Only because like if I'm like responsible to do something, I make sure it happens. I don't know.
You have like super good accountability.
Yeah, because like I don't know, at work I'm like I always feel like I go above and beyond to get like work done correctly. So I don't know.
Totally. We still have 5 more minutes.
Are you guys done?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've kind of touched on it. Yeah.
Okay. Did you go through, well, I mean, there's only 3 of you guys, so that's part of it. Did you go through all of your 5 strengths? Just kind of like list them off?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You can bounce back if you would like.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Things open, trying to get all my projects done, that it's
Hunter, do you want to do one of yours?
what?
Oh no, I was asking Hunter if he wanted to do one of his.
Oh, my bad. My internet's all
Because you live
screwed
in
up, but I had empathy as my top one. And then let me see. Let's see. Empathy, harmony, adaptability. I don't know if anybody has the same kind of stuff as that.
Well, I only heard like 3 of those, but I didn't get any of them. So feel free to choose whatever one.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get harmony. I got adaptability. So want to talk about the benefits of adaptability? Or I mean, harmony?
I mean, either way, you could pretty much work with anybody trying to.
Yeah, you work well in groups.
It just makes the work easier.
And I feel like if you're like, I don't know if it could be considered patient, but that kind of goes together in my mind.
Yeah. I think that works pretty good.
I guess I could
actually.
also say that you can make everyone feel more comfortable in a group setting.
Yeah.
The other 2 rooms will be back in about 2 minutes, guys. So did you learn something new about your classmates? Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. It's kind of the point, so I hope so. So Myra and Julie, just based on our evals and stuff this morning, I was just in the room that Hunter's in, and one of his top 5 strengths was adaptability. No wonder he's so flexible. Makes sense, huh?
That makes 100%
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Harmony was also one of his top ones too. So
Yeah, I would pin him for that one too.
Yeah, I could see that.
we need to get Reed to take this test.
That would be interesting. I feel like his would be kind of contradicting.
Yeah, I bet he's a fighter.
Yeah, I could guess that too.
That'll probably be the like number one.
But I don't think focus would be on there.
Mm.
Julie.
Or if it is, it's severely ignored.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what Travis's said.
Yeah,
That one would be so interesting.
that would actually be really good for me to know too.
Yeah, because Travis is just kind of like quiet, you know, like I don't know if I could pin him for one of these things, like definitely, you know.
I bet he would be. I bet Harmony's in his top 5.
Oh yeah, I could guess that too, actually.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna pull everybody out of breakout rooms. So.
Julie, I didn't even ask today, but what time for bowls tomorrow?
Tomorrow's gonna be a little bit different than normal. So just show up at 9 and we'll have to just kind of like figure things out.
Okay. I mean, I'll be there anyway. I have the morning feed shift anyway.
All right, perfect. Yeah, that's no big deal. Yeah, because we're gonna have to do some rearranging, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think everybody is back. And so if we were in an in-class setting, I would have you guys just walk around and find people that had different themes. So it's kind of fun to learn about stuff. So did anybody find that they actually shared a similar theme with some folks in their breakout rooms? A few? Okay, cool. What were some of them? I'm just curious.
I think two people in our group had focus. So
Okay, cool.
maybe not all 3.
A few people actually all of us had a relator in our theme.
Oh, cool.
I think my group was pretty close to the same. At least 2 of us had relater. I can't remember if it was all 3, but 2 of us definitely did.
Awesome. We have a class that cares. That's awesome. So, all right, cool. Well, where I want to go next is, oh, hang on, I gotta pull it up. I will email it out, but it's actually a group activity, and I'm gonna set the breakout rooms for 30 minutes. With the realization that you guys might get done earlier and can just bounce back to the main room as soon as you're done. But this is kind of a fun one. So let me get it emailed out and posted in the chat. And then we'll read through it as a big group, and then I'll push you guys to breakout rooms. And so the reason that I really, really like this one is because when we're in person, personalities start to come out big time. And so it was really quite entertaining to hear the arguments that were occurring during this. So, all right, so let me post the file in the chat. I just emailed it out as well. All right, so we're down to 15 people, and Hunter's coming over. So I think we'll be back up to 16 here in just a second. We've got another one coming in. So I think we'll go to 5 or 6 total breakout rooms, so a little bit bigger groups. So, all right. So in this group, or the airplane crash group activity, I'll share my screen with you. You guys as a group have got to work together relative to this scenario. So you and your companions have just survived the crash of a small plane. Both the pilot and the co-pilot were killed in the crash. It is mid-January and you are in northern Canada. The daily temperature is 25 below zero and the nighttime temperature is 40 below zero. It's cold, okay? So there is snow on the ground and the countryside is wooded with several creeks in that area. The nearest town is 20 miles away. You are all dressed in city clothes appropriate for a business meeting. Your group of survivors managed to salvage some items from the wreckage. First, individually, so I'm going to give you some time to do this before we go into breakout sessions. Then as a group, go through and rank the following item in order of importance to your survival. And so those items are in the table below. So you've got everything from a ball of steel wool, a small axe, a cigarette lighter, a quart of 100 proof whiskey, which is important because you're all college students, and some chocolate bars. So plus a bunch of other stuff. So let's take 5 minutes, and you guys can go through, before I kick you to breakout rooms, go through and rank those in order of priority. So 1st through 10 of which ones are most important. And you may want to jot down like some reasons for that just in the margin if you want. So, all right, so 309, 314, 315, we'll come back together.
We take notes on this for the final? I'm kind of like kind of confused.
So no. Like just right now, just do the activity. Go through and rank them.
Okay.
Their importance. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it individually. Then I'm gonna throw you guys in breakout rooms,
Okay.
and you're gonna fight through it together as a group.
Okay.
How are you guys doing? Do you need another minute or two, or you got it? Thumbs up, thumbs down. One thumb up. 2, 3. Okay, that's about everybody. Alrighty, so now the fun part. Okay, so we've got 16 including me, so that's 15. Let's go to 3 breakout rooms with basically 5 of you in each, 5-ish in each. Okay, and you're gonna do the same process, but you're gonna do it as a group and keep your strengths in mind, okay? So a good first question might be to have everybody go around and list off their strengths and see what are common among the 5 of you. Okay, so I'm gonna, I think we can do this in 20 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna set the breakout rooms to 20 minutes and then feel free to bounce back when you guys get done. And I'm gonna bounce in because this gets or got hilarious last year in person. So I need you guys to not be afraid to voice your opinion, okay? So turn your cameras on, fight with your fellow students. This is the best part usually. And you're gonna definitely want to jot some reasons down as well. Okay, breakout rooms. Let's do recreate. 3, okay. All right, you guys should have invites to a breakout room.
Okay. Does everyone want to list off their strengths first?
Yeah, do you want to go first, or should we just start?
I can go since I initiated, I guess. My first strength was discipline. My second was relator. My third was focus. My fourth was restorative, and my fifth was deliberative.
Okay, I'll go next. So I got relator, discipline, futuristic, learner, and intellection.
I can go. Oh, sorry. I got activator, futuristic, strategic, significance, and discipline.
My turn, I guess. I had empathy, adaptability, positivity, and deliberative.
Can you repeat those one more time?
Yeah. Empathy, adaptability, positivity, deliberative.
Sorry, I'm writing stuff down. I'm lost. Mine, I have relator,
You're good.
focus, learner, achiever, and futuristic. It's relator, focus, learner, achiever, futuristic.
Cool.
So what's your guys' number one? What do you think?
I put a compass for number 1.
I'm starting with a compass.
Me too.
I'm good with that. Yeah. I'm
I
good with a compass.
put the 20 by 20 heavy duty canvas.
Okay. Like a tent.
Either a tent or a shelter or cover or like anything.
It's weird when I read that, I thought of like canvas, like
Something.
painting canvas
That's my
at
number 2.
first. So I was like, what's the significance of that? Just paint a picture while you're out there. Melt the chocolate. I don't know.
Right.
Some berries for paint. It's funny.
I'm pretty like open on like order and everything. I'm not like super like strict on like what I did, but I put like the axe as like one of my top ones. Just think, because then I had like the canvas like closely like to that one, and just because like building shelter or even like cutting wood to start a fire, just things like that.
Yeah, the axe was my number 2.
Same.
Yep.
Yeah, same here.
Kind of like set this up like we can kind of like group like 5
Yeah, if it's
at a
going to be cold,
time,
I think
so we're
shelter
not
and fire
on
should be
the
the
list.
number 1 and 2. Mhm.
I think Katie was talking about how we should structure this. So should we like go one at a time, like one by one, or should we kind of list off what we all think and then find the ones that we agree with and then go from there? What do we think?
We could go like number by number and then kind of figure out which ones we think will, I don't know, fight over which the ordering, I guess. I don't know.
Sounds good to me.
So then what did we say for number 1? I forget what everyone else said.
Hunter and I had
Go with
compass.
The compass, that's right.
Yeah.
I was
Another
thinking
compass.
after what Katie said, because I had the axe as one of the top, and I was thinking that would probably be higher up, just because we know we have the canvas, so the axe would serve as like going to get wood for like fire or shelter later on, because it's something you don't have at the moment, but you
Mhm.
could get when the canvas you do have there.
I don't really know if there's anywhere to go that's close.
Yeah. I also put the map as like one of my last ones. Again, I also don't really know how to read a map that well, so that's partially why it was at the end.
I
But
put the map. Where's map? I put it low. Oh my God, I
yeah, me
cannot read it
too.
right now.
And it says it's an air map, so I didn't
Yes,
feel
so the
like
air
it was
map
a good
only
idea.
shows like airway travel, so it really doesn't have much help on like getting places. Yeah, I put the map as number 10, so
Yeah, I put it as number 9, and basically it was just going to be like our last resort to fire starter. So I figured it's going to be like the same material as newspaper.
True. And then actually my very last thing, which is different from yours, Mackenzie, was the chocolate, because I do enjoy a piece of chocolate, but I feel like it was like the least important thing out of the list of like the necessities for survival, you know? But I totally see why yours was up higher, because chocolate is pretty amazing.
Well, it was more for like food wise, but then I realized that I did put the pistol as number 1, and a pistol can be used for hunting. So technically the chocolate could have gone lower.
Hey, whatever
funny
works.
thing is I put the extra shirt and pants as like 7, only because I felt like it's really not going to do that much.
I put it as number 7 as well.
The only reason why mine is so high is because they don't specify what kind of pants and extra clothes
That
it
is
is.
true.
It doesn't tell you if it's snow. So I was going like benefit of the doubt. They packed it. They're giving us some snow clothes, so we're gonna stay a little warmer.
Okay, that's a good argument. I thought, I mean, I looked at it as like if we were in business clothes and in their rec, we find other clothes, I kind of just assumed maybe be more business clothes type stuff. So I was like, that's not really going to do a whole lot in -20 to -40 degrees.
True. But I'm just going benefit of the doubt on it. Hopefully they were nice to us and packed, and somehow we remember to pack snow clothes.
Yeah.
What would you guys do with the can of shortening? Because I don't really know what to do with it, so it's like number 10 on my list. Like you could use it to cook, I guess.
I put that at
I did it as
11.
number 9 only because it sounds gross, but it is really good. Like fat and calorie content as food just to straight up eat it. But I didn't see it being that important.
I guess that's true. I
Yeah, it was
probably
kind of
wouldn't
the
eat
end
it.
of the list for me. My
Yeah.
last thing was the lighter because it says without fluid, so I figured it's basically just trash. So that was my last one on my
Yeah.
list.
The only reason why the lighter's so high on my list is because of the spark. Like they still spark even though there's no fluid in it. It's not
See,
gonna
I put it as 11 because I forgot they still spark.
Well, I just thought about, sparing my whiskey for the fire.
Fair
So
enough.
I was being nice. I was sharing some of my whiskey.
I mean, we could just all get really drunk and forget it's cold and then just die.
They do say hypothermia isn't that painful of a death. It's actually peaceful.
Yeah, I mean, my first reaction to this was if it's getting to -40, nothing on this list is actually going to save us. So
Your best bet would just be able to go to that 20 miles as fast as you can.
pretty much.
True.
So what do we feel is the number one, like?
Oh yeah. Dude, I don't know. Wait, so you had the gun, Mackenzie?
Yeah, because like the pistol, if there's any animals that we're like scared of that are like coming towards our camp, we can shoot them off and then we can eat them. So I feel like a pistol is pretty important.
Okay, what did you have, Taylor, for number one?
The steel wool.
And then what did you have, Cody?
I had the pistol, or I had the lighter, but then I realized it was without fluid, so I changed it to the pistol. That
Dude,
way you
this
can
game-
at least eat.
This is gonna be tough. I totally see your guys' argument. Oh, fuck. Okay, wait, but just in the spirit of argument here, we're going to be freezing before we're going to starve. So wouldn't it be just a tad more important to think of fire stuff and shelter stuff? I'll give up the clothes because I can see your guys' point on the clothes. Like we don't have a description of them, so I'll take my number one clothes and I won't argue for that. But
See,
like,
I feel like the biggest argument comes down to what will start
A little more cozy inside. And want to have any other not options, but like any ideas for 4?
I put the bottle of whiskey for number
Smart.
4.
Smart. Like we had said it earlier, keep you warm, not just too much because you don't want to be dehydrated. Cannoli. So for number 5, let's see what I.
Though, that whiskey could go in handy.
Right. So number 5, I put a compress. Just because of the fact we were in a plane crash, or there may be injuries. There more likely is injuries, just because plane crashes don't usually end up all the best, especially if they're in the mountains. Just ask John Denver. Oh, actually, no, he was in the ocean. But yeah, a compress, just in case someone is. They also usually have basic first aid kits, just in case someone does need aspirin, we can also use the there's like in most first aid kits, there's like this magnesium. There's some different elements inside a first aid kit that we can actually use to start a fire with and stuff like that. So that that's another little ifs, ands, and buts. So who else has a cool one for number 5?
For 5, I put the chocolate bar.
Same. Yep.
A girl
Smart.
gets hungry and I love chocolate, so why not?
Feel that. I mean, again, that's good caloric intake, like we were talking about. And you never know, man. Squirrel with a little bit of chocolate dipped on it might not be bad.
Oh, for sure. I did the loaded gun because also you can use the gunpowder from the bullets.
Very true. Yes, to start a fire. I agree. Yeah. I agree 100%.
That was my only reason.
Nice, I dig it. Let's see. Who else has a number 5 real quick? We move on.
Resume recording. Sorry about that. Okay, So let me just read this off and what his priorities are along with his reasoning. Okay. All right. So priority number one is the cigarette lighter, even though it doesn't have fluid. The gravest danger facing the group is exposure to cold. The greatest need is for a source of warmth, and the second greatest need is for a signaling device. This makes building a fire the first order of business. Without matches, something is needed to produce sparks, and even without fluid, a cigarette lighter can still do that. All right, so nobody really got that one for priority one. That's okay. All right, priority two is the ball of steel wool. So in order to make a fire, the survivor needs a means of catching a spark made by the cigarette lighter. So this is the best substance for catching a spark and supporting a flame. Even if the steel wool is a little wet, it will still do that.
Real fast.
Yeah.
Our group only switched those two. We had one as a steel wool and two as a lighter. So we
So you
did
want
pretty
credit?
dang good.
Yeah, and the only
second
reason we
place still
switched
is in
them,
first place.
the only reason we switched them is because we said they go hand in hand, so it didn't really matter.
Okay. All kinds of justification happening. I love it. All right. Priority three is extra shirt and pants for each survivor. So besides adding warmth to the body, clothes can also be used for shelter, signaling, bedding, bandages, string when unraveled, and fuel for the fire. Priority four is the can of Crisco shortening. So this is a really long explanation. I'm just going to read some of the highlights. So actually, I'm going to read it all because you never know when you're going to be stuck in the woods with just a can of Crisco shortening. So Crisco, so a mirror-like signaling device can be made from the lid. After shining the lid with steel wool, it will reflect sunlight and generate 5 to 7 million candle power. That's crazy. So this is bright enough to be seen beyond the horizon. While this could be limited somewhat by the trees, a member of the group could climb a tree and use the mirrored lid to signal search planes. If they had no other means of signaling than this, they would have a better than 80% chance of being rescued within the first day. There are other uses for this item. It can be rubbed on exposed skin for protection against the cold. When melted into oil, the shortening is helpful as fuel. When soaked into a piece of cloth, melted shortening will act like a candle. The empty can is useful in melting snow for drinking water. It's much safer to drink warmed water than to eat snow, since warm water will help retain body heat. Water is important because of dehydration, will affect decision making. This is also, or the can is also useful as a cup. All right, so priority number 5, the 20 by 20 foot piece of canvas. So the cold makes shelter necessary, and canvas would protect against the wind and snow. Spread on a frame made of trees, it could be used as a tent or a windscreen. It might also be used as a ground cover to keep the survivors dry. Its shape, when contrasted with the surrounding terrain, makes it a signaling device. Number 6 was the small axe. Survivors need a constant supply of wood in order to maintain the fire. The axe could be used for this as well, for clearing a sheltered campsite, cutting tree branches for ground insulation, and constructing a frame for a canvas tent. Priority number 7 was the chocolate bar. So chocolate will provide some food energy. Since it contains mostly carbs, it supplies the energy without making digestive demands on the body. Priority number 8 was the newspaper. These are useful in starting a fire. They can be used as insulation under clothing when rolled up and placed around a person's arms and legs. A newspaper can also be used as a verbal signaling device when rolled up into a megaphone shape. Come on, you guys know that you've all done that as kids. It could also provide reading material for recreation. All right. Priority number 9 was the loaded 45 caliber pistol. The pistol provides a sound signaling device. The international distress signal is 3 shots fired in rapid succession. There have been numerous cases of survivors going undetected because they were too weak to make a loud enough noise to attract attention. The butt of the pistol could be used as a hammer. Use with care. Okay. The powder from the shells will assist in fire building. By placing a small bit of cloth in a cartridge emptied of its bullet, one can start a fire by firing the gun at dry wood on the ground. The pistol also has some serious disadvantages. Anger, frustration, impatience, irritability, and lapses of rationality may increase as the group awaits a rescue. The availability of a lethal weapon is a danger to the group under these conditions. Although a pistol could be used in hunting, it would take an expert marksman to kill an animal with it. The animal would then have to be transported to the crash site, which could prove difficult to impossible depending on its size. All right, priority number 10, quart of 100 proof whiskey. So the only uses of whiskey are as an aid in fire building and as a fuel for a torch made by soaking a piece of clothing in whiskey and attaching it to a tree branch. The empty bottle could be used for storing water. The danger of whiskey is that someone might drink it, thinking it would bring warmth. Alcohol takes on the temperature it's exposed to, and a drink of minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit whiskey would freeze a person's esophagus and stomach. Alcohol also dilates the blood vessels in the skin, resulting in chilled blood being carried back to the heart, resulting in rapid loss of body heat. Thus, a person who is drunk is most likely to get hypothermia than compared to a sober person. All right, number 11 is a compass. The compass might encourage someone to try to walk to the nearest town. It's a dangerous item. Its only redeeming feature is that it could be used as a reflector of sunlight due to its glass top. So, and that's good. We had compass was actually towards the end for 2 groups. All right, and then 12 was the air map. So air maps are actually made of plastic. And so this is also among the least desirable of the items because it will encourage individuals to try to walk to the nearest town. It's only useful as a ground cover to keep someone dry. All right, so how did we do?
Our group did really good in the beginning and really good at the end. The middle part is where we got jumbled.
Okay. Chloe, what about your group?
I feel like we did okay. I'm not gonna lie, compass was definitely my number 1 before we like talked about everything, and so now knowing that it's like at the very end.
Yep.
I don't know, I think we did all right. We were not like spot on with any of our answers really, but they were all sort of in the correct general direction from like 1 to 12.
Okay, cool.
I feel like our reasoning was there, just the order got a little mixed up.
Okay.
We also learned that I have an unnecessary amount of knowledge when it comes to survival skills. So we were talking about Crisco and like why chocolate is helpful.
Yeah, Chloe is designated party leader.
Okay.
Chloe knew her shit. Like she was on it.
I don't know.
I only know useless information.
And afraid.
And alone. Don't forget about that one. Alone is the most important one because that one's in the Antarctic.
Yeah, we're taking TV as our basis of surviving.
Yeah, that's what people do this day and age. Come on.
If this was Naked and Afraid and we were like in the snow, you could just use that pistol to shoot me right away.
I think I might want in on that actually.
I mean, my first thought was just drink all the whiskey and just die, drunk.
That's why that one was my number 1. After Casey read like all the side effects of whiskey, I'm like, oh shit, I really that's no cannot be my number 1.
Chloe had some other uses for whiskey that was not listed by that general. So I think Chloe has a little more insight on the whiskey. I think it should have been higher up on the list. Just saying.
I was really
Only other
surprised that it
comments-
actually like freeze you though, because I always think like drink yourself a sweater when you're like going out. Like you drink to be warm.
I only said that the whiskey would be good for sterilization of like wounds because it's 100 proof.
Yeah.
I also just was saying that it's combustible, so it catches flame pretty easily. It's just an easy way to start a fire, but drinking might be more fun than that.
I feel like I was kind of optimistic because some of their items weren't very specified, you know. So I was being pretty optimistic about like the details of the item, you know.
Yeah.
So I was trying to be optimistic about what we had left after our plane crash.
Yeah, Julie thought the clothes were gonna be like snow pants and a snow jacket.
They don't specify. You could be optimistic with it. Maybe we were smart. Maybe we were going to Canada and we were spending a few days there on vacation after our business meeting.
Oh my god!
I just
Jokes
like,
when you all it is a bikini and some flip flops.
Flip flops and
Would be
spurs.
terrible.
You guys are hilarious. Awesome. I really liked how one of the things that probably a large portion of the general population would have up pretty high is a compass. And there was like 2 sentences, and one of them was, it's a dangerous tool. So the moral of the story is don't walk out, wait for a rescue plane. And then who knew that shortening had so many different uses? That was crazy.
I
Chloe, I had no idea.
Chloe knew. Chloe knew. Chloe knew.
She was honest. She was like excited about the shortening.
That's awesome. Okay, so I want to be in a plane crash with Chloe. So that's where we're going with this, right?
Taylor had like a really good thought process behind the compass because she like the description doesn't tell you in what direction the town is. So she's like, why do we need a compass? We don't even know which way a town is.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of right with it was dangerous. I was like, you could be walking 20 miles the opposite direction. So.
Yep. And even if you spotted a town as you were going down, chances are you were spiraling, so you have no direction what direction it actually ended up in. So yeah. So Mike, how did your group do?
Terrible, I think.
Well, I mean, overall, I think we were pretty much, I mean, like, just like how a lot of the other groups said, we were all pretty much, especially with like the canvas, we were all a little bit scattered when it came to like the chocolate bar, the whiskey, and
We were definitely gonna die.
yeah.
There we go.
We were definitely gonna die.
It was gonna be fine. You guys were like, "No, man, we're gonna get all the whiskey and chocolate."
You should have listened to me. I said lighter first, and I was right.
I know.
I
know. You win that one.
We kind of made Allison feel a little bit like, oh man, like I'm probably gonna die first because no one chose the lighter, and she was like the only one. She's like, oh, well, now I feel like my plan's completely off.
Oh, I mean, I may have not read it doesn't have fluid in it part, but it still worked out.
Yeah, she was going the right direction.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Okay, so stepping back, so this exercise actually had multiple goals. So first of all, survival skills and range management is a real thing. And so when I started this program, and we weren't able to do it this semester, but I used to have 1 week of the class that we called it squad goals. And when I taught the 330 class, and it would be a super hands-on week of basic stuff like how to read a compass, how to start a fire without matches or a lighter, and how to change a tire, because those are 3 things that happen really commonly in range science if you're out just on the range by yourself doing monitoring or whatnot. And so you need to figure out how to survive. So some of this stuff will actually come in handy for that. So if you guys end up in one of those jobs where you're out by yourself a lot without cell phone signal, maybe throw in a can of shortening and leave the alcohol at home. Okay. So, so that was one reason to kind of work through this. The other reason was to see how everybody used their strengths, and then to observe how your group members' strengths actually came out. So let's just take just a quick minute, just jot something down about, like, when you think about your 5 strengths in this exercise, which one came out and how, and then jot down 1 or 2 comments about the other members of your group in their thought process, or the way that they approached this problem, how persuasive they were, those type of things. Okay, so let's just take a minute to do that. All right, so what I would like to do, because since we're a pretty small group still, is have everyone kind of contribute to this process. Okay, this is our last kind of sharing thing. So what I would like for you guys to do, and I'll call out who I want to go, that way we keep moving in an organized fashion, is just tell me during this process what's one strength that came out and how of yours, and then one thing that you noticed about a teammate in your breakout room. All right. Okay, so Chloe, you are my top left-hand tile, so you get to go first.
Oh, yay. I kind of wrote down, like, one thing that I noticed for everybody was that we were all relators. And so when it came down to trying to prioritize and figuring out what worked, we really didn't argue very much. We more so were just like, okay, why did you put that one there? Oh, okay, I could totally see why you did that. Another thing I noticed was that Hunter one of his things was adaptability. And so, like, he was pretty quick to be able to say, oh yeah, like, I could see why that would be useful. And progressing through the list was able to call back on, like, other things that we had prioritized previously and figure out ways to utilize them throughout. So I thought that was cool. And then another thing I just wrote down for myself was, like, I'm a big focuser, and I think that I spent a lot of time prioritizing these items based on how many uses that they had in my brain. So I spent more time being like, okay, what has more use in my head? Extra clothes or fire. Extra clothes can be used as a tourniquet if you needed to, or a sling or whatever. Fire has, cooking, warmth, signaling, all the different things that kind of are subtext underneath each big item. So that was what I noticed.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for that. All right, Hunter.
Let's see, for my strength, I would probably do the adaptability too. Just in my list that I made, I tried to start with things that have tons of uses, and just base my reasoning upon that, pretty much, is how adaptable that my tools can be, pretty much. And then with my teammates, we all pretty much have focus also, combined, and we were all focused on the goal and what's gonna help us get out of here. And I think we worked pretty well together based on that, pretty much.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you. Lizeth.
Funny because we're all in the same group, but
Oh, okay. You also all have your cameras on, so everybody is up high. This.
So for me personally, I think being a learner and intellection, just because of the whole thinking process to solve all the issues and figuring out what's important, and then willing to learn from everyone, because we all got relator for the group, which I think was to our benefit. Like we all, like Chloe said, we all understood each other and our reasoning and kind of just went from there and made it work rather than arguing. Like it was just a good group to survive with.
Cool. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Katie, what about you?
So, oh, 1 second. I'm trying to like flip tabs right now. Okay, so with mine, like that was just my whole entire group that went, like I'm the last one in the group. So they really covered everything. But I was saying like to relate with the themes, we all use kind of like this significance theme of like the significance of each item, as like everyone else was kind of saying. And also like our group was really like adaptive with like working with each other. No one was really like, no, this needs to be number one, or like, no, you're wrong, like we need to do this. We all worked really well together and like learned a lot. Like we said earlier, like Chloe really like taught us a lot too. Like I had no idea about any of like the Crisco shortening, and like I can't even picture like what it would look like. And then listening to like what Chloe had to say about it, and then when you read like the actual like notes of like what the actual order was, like using the lid of the can as like a reflector, I was like, okay, that's super smart too. So I think we all just like worked really well together with like our themes. We're all very compatible.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Kylie.
Maybe you forgot about me, just saying. No, so I'm the last one to go in the group, but everyone already said everything that I would have said. Just personally for myself, I feel like one of the character traits that came out for me during this activity was restorative. And that's defined as people are adaptable at dealing with problems and figuring out how to solve problems. So I feel like that kind of came out a little bit in this activity. But again, just to reiterate, we all worked really well together. And the theme, I guess everyone can relate to, is us all being relators.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. Mackenzie.
Okay, so for ours, I'm going to take it a little different of an aspect. When we were going through our top like few, I totally, like, my stubbornness was like, no, we do not need a cigarette lighter. It doesn't have fluid, but I also didn't know that like you could still use the spark, as well as the ball of steel. I had no idea what it even was. So I put that last on my like individual one. I was like, oh, that, and then they said that it's like used for, because I looked it up and it's like you can use it for like cleaning like dishes and stuff. So then at the same time I was like, okay, why do we need that? Like I'm not gonna be doing dishes out there.
Fair point.
And then like they like told me, they're like, well, we can use that as a fire start, and then it ended up being number 2 on the guys list. So they were all even though I am a relator on my strengths in this aspect, I was like, did not want to relate to any one of them. But for myself, I did have to end up adapting, which adaptability is my number 1. So my willingness to learn from all of them was a great aspect of myself. That was my strength for today.
Cool. You know, I think so. Even though you are thinking that your relator didn't let you relate to people, I don't necessarily think that is true. So in my case, because relator's pretty high on my list too, I am always curious to like walk in the other person's shoes and see what their thought process was. So that might be more of the relator than you actually like not being stubborn, if that makes sense. So All right, cool. Thank you. Mike, buddy, how about you?
Well, see, I talked about, oh, sorry, wrong link. So I talked about how I can see myself, especially in. It's one of my biggest things is that I'm always looking forward, always looking, to the positive side of things. Glass half full instead of half empty. And I really see
We're not gonna die.
right.
We're not gonna die.
Right. And so I really see myself in the 20-foot canvas and the 20 by 20 because that helps preserve life. That helps bring calm and ease to people, things like that. And yeah.
Cool. What about a group member?
So what I put for that is I was wrong about the lighter. I apologize. I should have thought. I mean, what's funny is I ranked it lower, not super important, but I still talked about how, we can still light fires with it, but we need to get some other things first because that lighter's still guaranteed, especially towards the bottom, And there's many different ways to start a fire, bow drill or especially if it's sunny, take the can, the Crisco, and focus it to where, to make a fire that way too. So I mean, you have to be creative.
Okay. What about a strength in a group member? Did you see a strength in a group member come out that was noticeable?
Yes. I forget which one, but she had ranked her canvas. I think number 1 or number 2, and it was very interesting because she talked about how light, how that canvas can be used for so many things, from collecting water to building a shelter to even starting our fire if we need fine, that really nice fine fine powder or a string to help light the fire and such like that. That fine bundle work, I guess. So I thought that was very interesting, and it made a lot more sense once she actually talked about that. So and then I think that was which one? That was the activator and stuff. I believe that was what. Yeah, that was hers. Yes,
Okay.
I think.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Julie. What about you?
Sorry, mute was on. So I feel like there was different personality. Like I feel like honestly Taylor and I are are pretty similar, and like it seems like we kind of have like similar wavelengths for personalities. So I feel like sometimes like her and I were bantering back and forth a little, but I think as a group all of us did share the relator trait, and like Taylor claimed that she didn't want to relate, but we all actually did end up giving in the end in some way, like compromise. And so I think that was super like cool to have that, like wasn't necessarily an argument, but definitely a discussion. And we didn't not all of us agreed on every single one thing that we put on there. I think that my group could say, but I think that we ended up compromising for what we felt was like the best thing that our group could agree on. So that was awesome. And one of the traits that I think I use quite a bit in this activity is context. And so context is like relying on things that you've like relying on your history and things you've learned in the past to pull from. And so poor example, but I did rely on my reality TV show Survivor, like survival things. So poor example, but I did rely on those. I went back to those for some of the things that I could have learned. But yeah, so I think that's one of the traits that I use probably pretty heavily in this activity.
Cool. So Julie, just for fun facts, Kelly Dugan's highest strength is context. So
really?
Yeah. So
yeah, mine context is like number 4 for me.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, but I feel like I use it a lot in my life because like I like on things that I feel like are similar, I go back to like mistakes that I've made in the past to try to learn from them and do things differently. So I feel like that's one of the things that I use quite a bit too.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you. All right, Miss Myra, other than you're going to die because you had alcohol first, what do you think?
Yeah, I know. I'm not an alcoholic, I promise. like,
I didn't think that you were.
this past Saturday, and we took whiskey for the purpose of staying warm because we were outside. So that's like the first thing that popped into my head. I was like, well, I want to stay warm. So from my point, it was like more of like focus came out, like my focus strength came out because like I was setting a goal already of just like, okay, I need to stay warm. What things do we need to stay warm? Clearly not the whiskey. And for my group, Michael, I think it was you meant Miranda, because I believe she was the one who said she was like her strength was strategic. So and she was the
That's
one
what it was, yeah.
yeah, she was the one I think that said the like 20 by 20 canvas, because she was also like kind of thinking about like things to like to help us stay warm. So the canvas would have helped us a lot, obviously, for shelter and stuff. That's one of the things that I noticed with her, that was like the strategic strength that we know.
Excellent. Thanks, Myra. Miss Taylor, how about you?
I love that Julie said what she did, because I was gonna say like the same thing, that like we kind of butt heads, but we didn't. And I was thinking it was funny because like I got relator, but I was like, no, I tend to argue stuff a lot, but like I still will like hear people's opinions. So I feel like this one is like, I was like, I don't know. I thought for myself, strategic was like my one, because I was like, yeah, let's plan this out. Let's survive. But then you did like the reasoning on what the guy said, and I was like, yeah, no, we would have died. So then I was like, okay, the relator thing made sense because like we did work well as a group. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
What were
I
your-
mean, my first thought was to just drink the whiskey and die. So there's that.
Well, I'm glad you went past your first thought.
Yeah.
That's always good. So what were your other strengths, Taylor? I'm just curious.
Hold on, let me pull them up. Relator, strategic, achiever, responsibility, and discipline.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think responsibility is where your punchiness comes from.
Probably.
Like if you're carrying the weight of like, okay, all these people are going to die because they're choosing to drink whiskey first, that might be where you're being a little bit more aggressive to try to change their mind or something. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you. Miss Esmeralda, what about you?
So for me, one of the strengths that I was kind of like, I learned a lot because obviously like I have zero skill in any of this stuff, so it makes me want to catch up on my like reality show type stuff. And
I'm
watch, like,
telling you,
Naked
it's
and Afraid
useful.
and stuff. Because like when you were going over everything, I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm gonna die. I would die. I would totally die. Like, I would die. And I was like, my whole group, I was like, yeah, we're dead. Like, we're not gonna survive this at all. If we were all together, we would die. I think who was it? It was, I can't forget, the one with the lighter. What was her name? What was her name? She was
Allison.
the only one with like common knowledge about anything. And then we turned her down. We're like, well, it doesn't have any lighter fluid, so why are you gonna use it? And then I felt bad because I was like, oh my God, we just made her feel like, yeah, no, whatever. So I feel like one of my strengths in this was like learning from all of us, even though we were like not going in the right direction, but we like I just kind of learned a lot from everyone. And I feel like from the group, I feel like Michael was like an includer. He started everything, so he would include everyone. So I feel like he was like, oh, okay. Oh, this makes sense. Yeah. I would totally agree. Like he was just very inclusive with all of us.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for sharing. Miranda, what about you?
Well, this was an interesting activity, but I think like my strengths that came out was I was very like deliberative and strategic. And so like I went through and prioritized like staying warm and then over like getting out, because we'll never make it out if we die the first night. And then I also didn't prioritize fire as high as the key did, because I thought that there was maybe slower ways to make fire that I could accomplish if I was warm and dry. by the use of like Canvas. And something like that wasn't as popular is I prioritize the Crisco shortening a lot higher than a lot of my group members. But even though I'm like strategic and deliberate, I have like the individualization is pretty high on my StrengthFinder and the relator. So I found myself probably like sitting back and like thinking about what everyone else was saying and like trying to see their point of view more than like speaking.
Yeah.
Whereas like other people were a little bit more like go with the flow, and they were like, oh, this is a good idea. So I put it first and maybe didn't have as much like strategic thought behind why they picked things.
Okay, cool. Cool. All right. Miss Monica, how about you? We're gonna do Allie last because she has bones to pick with her group. So
So for my group, I think for myself and for everybody else, we were all relators because we were all listening to everybody else's opinions and then seeing their point of view and then going from there. So I think everybody would be a relator.
awesome. Awesome. All right, Miss Allie. What do you think?
Hello?
Yep.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, sorry, my mute wasn't working. So, my strength, one of my strengths was a learner, which I think was a bit of a downfall here because I thought that I learned that the lighter wasn't good. But turns out, Naked and Afraid pulled through, and I should have kept it. Discovery Channel's keeping me alive. But also a lot of us were relators, which I almost feel like was a downfall somewhat. I know everyone's saying it's like positive, but if you're all relating to each other, you kind of just accept like, oh, okay, that's right. So there's a lot of like acceptance, and there's no like sometimes arguments healthy because you argue like you can figure out what's actually the best option and not just kind of accept what everyone else thinks. So I kind of thought about that. Our group did well. I mean, everything we had thought of like kind of made sense. We weren't just like, you know, drink some whiskey and die. But we kind of planned through everything. And even when we talked about the lighter, we did talk about like how it could work if you added maybe the 100 proof to it to make it work again as a like a fuel agent. So
cool. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for your contribution. It's interesting to hear you guys what you guys got out of it and from the viewpoint and the filter of your strengths. So anyway, I hope that this was useful. And I hope it will be. I think that this is like just like 490 is the 5-year class. I feel like this StrengthFinder's lab is going to be the 5-year lab. And so it's probably something that you're going to come back to in 5 years and be like, oh yeah, we did this. And this is why it makes sense and that type of thing. So, but in the meantime, I hope you all survive. Maybe throw in the steel wool and a lighter wherever you may go. And so that is, I just wanted to kind of get your feedback and have you guys kind of do a self-assessment. So that was the reason for going through it together. Okay. General comments really quickly about this lab. Did you guys like it? Did you not like it? Again, you can't hurt my feelings. I've heard it all before. So do you feel like this is something that could be useful later on, or did we just waste 3 hours?
I don't feel like it was a waste at all. I think if we didn't learn anything about ourselves, we learned a lot about the people that we're in class with.
Okay.
And I definitely think that tests like this and strength assessments and like Myers-Briggs and all that stuff is always really applicable after college, because I think we spend a lot of time as students just being students and kind of going through the motions without really acknowledging the fact that we have real feelings and real strengths and real qualities. Yep. So we graduate, we go into the workforce, and we're like, little robots that just got like kicked out of the nest, and we don't realize that we have strengths that are important to play to. So I think this is a good way to start that.
Yeah. Ditto, ditto, and ditto. That's, you just explained my journey. So like when I was in college, and I was in college for a long damn time, right? So with a master's and a PhD, I had 10 years in school. And so by the time I got into this job, I didn't even know who I was. And so I kind of went through a little bit of a midlife crisis around age 35, 36, and started seeing a counselor, and I still see a therapist regularly, and then saw a life coach for a while, and that's where a lot of this stuff kind of came out. And the cool part was, like, I finally figured out, okay, I'm playing into my strengths. I at least hit the right career, so let me start enjoying it. So that part has been nice. And so yeah, I fully agree. And that's one thing that I just wanted to bring kind of this social science aspect into this class a little bit, because this stuff is what's going to solve problems. Like, we can go out and do forage measurements all day long, and unless you can talk to somebody or solve a problem or write a bill or something like that, it's not going to do any good to go do the science without being able to apply it. So thank you for your comments. That's good. Anyone else?
Yeah, I was also gonna say that I think it definitely helped, like, even understand myself better in a way. Just because as I was reading through the descriptions of my top 5, some of them I was like, holy crap, like, this is me. And I didn't know why I was doing certain things, but then as I was reading everything, I was like, all right, this makes sense. So I guess it is to my benefit when I was thinking of it negatively, like in a negative aspect.
Yep.
Like you're saying, it does help to like turn things around and use it to your benefit.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Another self-assessment that I am definitely a student of and have been for the last 3 years is the Enneagram. I don't know if you guys have heard that, but the Enneagram is a little bit of a different test. You can take it as a test, but it's almost one of those things that you need a coach to kind of help coach you into what number you are. And that one has been really helpful to me because it gets at the motivation for making a decision or doing an action rather than what you would do in this situation, that type of thing. And so if you guys need another one, the Enneagram is a good one, and there's plenty of free materials and stuff out there on the internet. So other questions or comments or snide comments?
When we first like started this, I was kind of like, okay, like what's the point of this? Like, this is so not anything that we've done like this whole semester. And like another thing, which is like online school, which like I really wish that we were able to do, is to like have your little like survival week, because that sounds like fun, but like obviously we weren't really able to do that. Yeah. But like it makes sense now. Now it's like tying back. But at first I was like, I'm so lost. Like I was like, this is a whole different class right now. Like I don't understand.
Yep, it is for sure. Cool. Other comments or questions? Awesome. Okay, well, everybody's bringing their pets to class. Yay! Got a cat. Katie, what dog is that?
This one's Fortune, the same one from last year.
Okay.
She was supposed to go back in July, but because of COVID, she didn't go back. And now I have another puppy. But my dogs don't understand like the time change still. So like 4 o'clock hits and they think it's like 5 o'clock in dinner time. So she just comes and jumps on me. So we're waiting it out.
Nice. Mackenzie, what's your kitty's name?
His name's Turbo.
Turbo. That's awesome. And Mike, what about yours?
He is Teddy the Mancoon.
Teddy the Mancoon.
Yeah, so he's about, last time I checked, he's about 48 inches tall or long. Yeah, he don't like being held like that either. So
no
yeah,
shit.
He's cool. He's just a big old boy that loves to frolic outside, but he doesn't get to play much here because that train right there is pretty scary.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, let's get to the rat kill, and I don't want to hold you up. So I just sent you all an email, and I'm going to post this in the chat as well as a file, or as a file. But this is the final exam, and I wanted it to be something that wasn't really brain taxing. Okay, I know you guys got to get through grazing management plan stuff. And if you have questions about that, you can definitely stay on and I'll answer them. I also have office hours tomorrow and Friday morning from 8 to 10. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll look. Maybe I will. Hang on. There we go. And we'll just step through the expectations for this. I really am super appreciative of you guys. I felt like this was the class that I had the best relationship with. And I think it was because we worked together every Wednesday to build the management plan. And so I really do feel like the whole point of this class was to learn some ecology from a grazing management perspective. And so I wanted that management plan to kind of be the big project and the point of the class. And so I hope you feel that way as well. So what I'm expecting for the final exam is in this document here. And again, I'll post it in the week 16 folder as soon as we get done. But basically, you guys have spent the last 3 months drafting that management plan for the Daughtry Hill management area. And what I want to know is I want you to do a little bit of self-reflection. If you had to do this process over, but for a different piece of property or a different agency or yourself or whatever, how would you do it? Okay, so detail out the process of drafting the management plan. Okay, so what resources would you do? Where would you start? Why are certain points like having goals important when it comes to drafting management plans? What resources would you use? And so I want this to be a set of instructions for you. So if you have to do this in 10 years, you can go back to that document and all of that step-by-step process is going to be there. All right. And so that's the kind of piece number one. And you guys can put all of this together in one big PDF. So it's the grazing management plan how-to. The second piece of this is just write in a little bit or a little section, it doesn't have to be more than, a paragraph or two, about how your strengths would aid the process of writing a grazing management plan. So we have a lot of people that are relators, right? So if you were a relator, you would probably want to be able to relate to the people that are going to be on the ground managing the piece of property, right? So what's going to be the easiest, most effective way for them to do monitoring or for them to do inventory, right? If you are a focuser, how are you going to prioritize what you tackle first? It doesn't have to be really in depth. I just want to know out of your 5 strengths, how each one of those could help you in drafting a grazing management plan. All right, part 3, 4, and 5 are essentially readable versions of what we just went through. Okay, so the StrengthFinder reflection lab, that piece that we did first, just type that up and add it as a page in your write-up, okay? The scavenger hunt, same thing. So you guys had, in that first breakout room, you were able to go through and talk with your fellow classmates. So just write down their name and what strength they used for, or what strength was positively used for them. And then the last piece is just the airplane crash scenario. So you can straight up put that table, that document in there. So with your list and the list that you guys came up with as a group. And you can put it all into one file, save it as a PDF, and submit it. And so But the part that I would like you to spend a little bit of time on is the grazing how-to part, kind of creating a set of instructions for yourself, and then how your strengths would actually aid this process. So, questions. What questions can I answer for you?
So how long should like the first part be, the how-to one? Like how long are you expecting it to be?
So here's what I would do, Mackenzie. With the original assignment, you know how it's in like outline form? If you just take it in outline form and explain how you would do it, then you're probably looking at like 4, maybe 5 pages, right? So you want to talk about things like using Google Maps to create a map with borders and identify waterways and identify fence lines and other points of interest and those type of things. You want to use web soil survey to track the 3 major things that we talked about, right? So it really is a reflection of like every single lab activity, like what tools did you use and how did you go about doing it? And so you can be super in depth if you want. I think that would be awesome of like, okay, go into Google Earth and create and use a polygon to go around the borders. And then you can save the polygon and make sure to sign in and that type of stuff. So that if you feel like this is something you're going to do later on, you have a pretty step-by-step process of how to do it. So it's an instruction manual. That's probably what I should have called it, was an instruction manual. But does that help? Okay, good.
So would that be like just for that stuff, or literally like all like that, like you know how in the outline there's just like little sections like wildlife, all that stuff? We're basically writing like little short descriptions for each one of those to explain how would we attack each one of those?
Exactly. Yep. So here's a good way. I kind of am thinking of this as like the methods and materials to a research paper, right? So have enough detail in there that somebody could go replicate what you did if you handed them this document. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Just to be clear, I'm like picturing this correctly. Are you wanting it like labeled like, like wildlife and explain how we did that? Or are you wanting like bullet points, or is like complete essay format?
I think
Like,
it's probably a combination. I don't really care on format, in all honesty.
Okay.
I just want to know that you addressed everything and you have an idea of what we talked about.
Okay, that makes sense. And then just when's it due again?
December 18th by 5 p.m. So
Okay, thank you.
Friday of finals week. Yep, you bet. Cool. I know it's another thing to do, but we have to have a final. Sorry. The university is requiring it. You guys will also, if you go into the Zoom thing, you will also see like a Zoom session set up for our final time next week. I don't plan to be on there. I just want the university to think that we're having a final exam, because that's one of the big requirements. And so, but all you guys got to do is just get that document in. So I hope that is doable and better than me putting together a major final exam. So sweet. All right, well, that's all I have for today. I will make sure to get up all of this information for the final exam stuff, all of these forms that we talked about today, onto Blackboard in the week 16 folder. And this is kind of it, guys. So thank you for hanging in there with me this semester. I'm so incredibly sorry that this was our experience. It's just sucky and shitty and everything else. So thank you for hanging in there with me. And I hope you learned something. I learned a lot through this whole entire process, just breaking down each part of the management plan. So I'm hoping you guys did too. And if you guys do have questions about the management plan stuff, I'm happy to take those now. I'll stay on for like another 20 minutes if needed. And if not, I will see you when I see you. So I know a couple of you are done in like the end of next week. So best of luck to you. So
Thanks, Casey.
Awesome. All right. Peace
Casey.
out, my people.
You're the best, Casey.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
I have a question with the grazing management plan.
Yeah, go
So I
for
looked at the example and it has like a really like fancy cover page and table of content and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
We need that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why this whole semester I was making the grazing management plan, like, oh, I got this. And then I was like, oh, let me look over the example again. I was like, oh, I don't got this.
Yeah, and those example management plans, that's why I gave you a few of them, because they
Mhm.
all look way different.
Yeah.
So this is something that you would hand CDFW, the guy that is going to manage this piece of property. Like, here's your management plan, and so
Yeah.
it needs to be pretty. And
I think my biggest problem is I'm really hard when like there's no like format given
Mhm.
and you're like, just do it your way. I'm like, I can't do that.
Yep. Welcome to life. So it's strategic. I could absolutely give you every little itty bitty thing here, but I'm actually trying to tap into the creative side of your brain.
I know, it's just hard for me because I'm like, I
I
don't want
know.
to do it wrong. I know it's not wrong. It's just in my head, I think it's wrong.
Yeah, I
That
know.
makes any sense.
Because society, and especially probably your education up through, elementary school and high school, you were always taught to do standardized testing or stuff,
Mhm.
and so it's made that I'll stop. I have whole opinions on that shit. So
And then this is our last Zoom with you then, right?
it is our last Zoom. Yeah,
Okay. Can I email you once I graduate for like life advice still?
absolutely.
Okay. I'm probably
Absolutely.
gonna end up doing that.
Okay. Yeah, I talk to a lot of students, so yeah, former students. So.
Okay. This is really weird because I really thought me graduating would be like in person and
I know.
goodbyes to all these teachers I love, but I
Yeah.
get a Zoom instead.
I know it's gonna suck ass, is what it is.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm
thank
so
you,
sorry.
Casey.
Best of luck. Are you headed to work, or what are you doing?
That's a great question. Before COVID hit, I thought I had a plan, and then COVID kind of sidelined the plan. So now I've just kind of went with let's see what happens plan.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah, I think right now you gotta think short term, not long term, right? So like
Yeah.
short term is just make money, pay rent, buy food, that type of stuff.
That's pretty much where I'm at, where like I have work, but it's not related to what I want to do. But it's like I don't want to make the jump, but I don't know. That's what
Yeah.
I'm struggling with.
It's hard to make the jump right now, especially in a time of uncertainty. So like basic survival stuff is kind of got to be your mindset. That's at least my mindset. It doesn't have to be your mindset. So it's like, okay, how am I going to make rent? How am I going to buy food? How am I going to buy fuel? Just even if it's working at Walmart, which a lot of us have done, it's just kind of all about making ends meet right now, and we'll have to figure out the career side of it later.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at, but I really like the range stuff, so I'm hoping next year I can pull it off and start doing that. So
Yep. Yeah, watch USA Jobs
Yep.
big time, because BLM and Forest Service both have had a ton of retirements, and the stock market has been so good during the Trump administration that they actually have a budget to hire people. So they're trying to hire a bunch of people. The bottleneck is just people in the office to look at resumes and do interviews and that type of stuff.
Yeah, and you said it on US Jobs, right?
Yep,
okay.
usajobs.gov.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's my plan. Just make sure it's the same site.
Awesome.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck to you.
Thanks. You too.
All right, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye. Hi, Miss Allie. You got a question?
Can you hear me?
I can. Yep.
My thing always doesn't want to unmute. Okay, I had a few questions.
Okay.
So first one, I guess, is I was looking at the examples, and they're really in depth. Do you want us to go that in? I mean, those are like 37 pages long. Ours aren't expected to be like at that
No. There's also a bunch of stuff in there that we didn't cover.
Yeah.
So if you look at like the wildlife section or the soil section, it should be as in depth as I gave comments back on.
Okay. My comments got deleted because I like went to fix the area, and then if you delete the area that you commented on, it deletes the comment. So that
Okay.
was a little frustrating, but that's okay. So I had I had tables. I don't know if I can share my screen with you and like show you
You
what
should
I
be able
had.
to. Go ahead.
Okay. See if I can find it. Let's just do desktop and then I can go to it. Okay, so I have these tables here for soil information.
Yep.
And you told, I think I remember correctly that you said to comment on these and like what they mean.
Yeah, you need a paragraph that before all these tables. So
Okay.
that is really kind of generalizes and summarizes everything that's in the table. So the reason for this is because you need like the Reader's Digest version, and then you need the Stats Nerd version. And so that's why I have suggested having the tables in there with the very specific percentages and stuff. Because if somebody wanted to go in and calculate like stocking rate per soil unit type, they could, because it's there. But
okay.
the paragraph needs to be like the Reader's Digest version. I don't even know if you guys know what that is. I'm aging myself.
No,
But
I've heard
okay,
Reader's
it just needs
Digest.
to-
I'm gonna have to look it up to.
yeah, it just needs to be like a summary. Like there are blank soil units on this piece of property. Most of them are Sobrante Auburn complex. You know,
Okay, because
others
I don't
are-
know what Sobrante Auburn complex means.
So that is a soil type. Okay, so that's
Okay.
the name of the soil type.
Okay.
And then the verbiage after it is gravelly. So
Uh-huh.
that means that the
I know
pebble
gravel
size-
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
the pebble size is really big. Okay.
Okay.
And so, and it has percent slope after that, so you know like what kind of terrain you're
Yeah.
dealing with.
Okay. Okay, I can do that. That makes sense to me. And then I also had my range production chart on here.
Yep.
Do you want me to comment on that or?
Yep. Yeah, you need a paragraph in there about why that's important, averages, those type of things. So like if you look through all those soil units, you need to make a recommendation here that basically during a favorable year, you should probably go through and do the mean of that
Uh-huh.
first column. You know, you
Okay.
can expect, 1,500 pounds of forage per acre. On an unfavorable year, you can expect 800 pounds of forage per acre. On a normal year, you can expect, 1,200 or whatever it is.
Okay. And then, okay, don't judge what I've had so far. I have a lot of other projects I've been working on. But for my long-term and short-term, I didn't have trouble making my long-term plans because I know it's sort of given to us.
Right.
But it just looks really short to me. I mean, I wrote
That's fine.
about
That's
it
fine.
is.
Yeah, because they're general, right? So they're
Yeah.
big and they're general.
They're a
And
lot more
so-
broad than the short-term plans.
Yeah. So short-term plans get more specific because they're going to be used to achieve the long-term plan. So long-term plan is really wildlife habitat, right?
Yeah.
And so to do wildlife habitat and create good habitat, we're going to use a combination of like control burning and grazing. Those are the two short-term goals.
Yeah, okay. And then for the inventory, so I'm just gonna write a paragraph about the inventory.
Yep.
And I figured from watching your lectures and stuff that this region, I know we talked about it, is California annual grassland and oak woodland. That's kind of what I've
Correct. Yep.
sufficed from this.
Yep.
And then
And so property inventory, I mean, that's kind of, if you look at that whole map, if you scroll back up and look at your map, that's where you need to add things in here. So like there's the parking location, but we talked about gates that would be walk-through gates. We talked about gates that you could drive through that would be locked. We talked about ponds. All of that stuff needs to go in the
I was going to do a separate map for the waterways.
Awesome.
Unless I should add it to the same one.
No,
but I already made this and it won't. Oh, I guess.
Yeah, it's totally fine. You can do whatever you need to do. You can do one map or you can do separate maps, but you've got to have it at least identified, and then you need to make sure that you're referring to the correct map in your inventory.
I put figure under it here. It says
Beautiful.
like figure 1 Daughtry Hill property line map.
Yep, that's beautiful.
So, and then I see there's the main road going through the property.
That's not the road. That's the PG&E line.
Or PG&E line. Yep. Do you want us to mark that on a map?
Yeah, it definitely needs to be.
Okay, and then I can do that. And then how do you mark? I know we talked about it, but I keep trying to go back and find the lectures, but it gets kind of confusing to go through every single one. Yep. For marking the gate, which lab would that have been? Do you remember?
So it may not be a lab. I mean, we did it, but I referred to an extra YouTube video.
Oh, okay.
And so in the grazing management plan, they're on, let's see, 1, 2, 3, the 4th and 5th link under the grazing management plan module is Google Earth for farmers. And an extension agent in New York did a really good job with like basic functions, drawing, tools, that type of thing in Google Earth.
Okay. And then I was curious on where the gates, so do we just have to like go along the property line, or are all the gates right by that parking lot?
So the gates we talked about were right by the parking lot. There was a big one. If you zoom in close enough, there's one that you could see people had driven through and stuff.
Yeah.
I think we saw that there was a gate up. You just have to like zoom in a lot and see if you can find it. A gate up by the lake. And then over on the east side, I think there was a gate off of one of those roads out there too.
Like over here somewhere?
Yep.
Like right here, kind of?
Yeah, maybe. I think so. Yeah.
Because that's a road, right? Or is that a water? No, that's the waterway.
I don't know if that's a waterway or not. That looks like a road, but I can't tell.
Or maybe that's the waterway right there.
Yeah.
I need to zoom in. Okay. I can do that. I have way too many questions. For hiking trails, I know they're going to be based off of the parking lot and then go out from there. Do you want us to run a line like we did the water? Yeah,
if you can see him, that would be awesome. And so don't be afraid to play with the satellite images. So if you look down at the bottom left-hand corner, it says 1998.
Oh yeah, right there.
Yep. So when you get in Google Earth, you can actually click on that and it will bring a scale up towards the top that has years on it, and you can actually click through different satellite images. So if you get one in the spring, it probably will have better hiking trails compared to the ones in the fall.
Okay. Alrighty, I'll mark those. And then I was also just looking for the CDFW favored species. So I have some notes on the wildlife because I remember us talking about that and like, coyotes, mountain lions, basic stuff. But for the favored species in the area?
The white-tailed deer.
Okay.
Mule deer. Sorry, mule deer.
Oh yeah, because we did that for the stalking rate.
Yep.
I remember that. Okay. Alrighty, if I have more questions, you'll probably see me tomorrow morning. I'm gonna be honest.
Sounds good.
I'll probably be there.
Okay.
More questions. But okay, that's about it for now. I think I've got some stuff to work on for this. So
awesome. Sounds good.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you, and I'll just see you tomorrow then.
Okay, sounds good. Have a good night, Allie.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.